Hello everyone, welcome to News Extra. Today we're talking about the Old West Balloon Fest, and you can get involved in the event itself specifically and actually get kind of a close-up look at the things that are happening in and around the Balloon Fest as well as the National Ballooning Championships. I have Executive Director Colleen Johnson here with me, along with Sherri Cargile, who is the Volunteer Coordinator. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you. An event like this does not happen without volunteers.
It doesn't, and we really need volunteers. We've had a great volunteer base in the past. It's actually kind of funny, a lot of the pilots that have had people volunteer crew for them, the pilots and crew connect throughout the year and have a great relationship, and so it's neat to crew for the same pilot year after year. And we do have a lot of new pilots since we've got 80 balloons this year. We've got a lot of those national guys that are just coming maybe with one person. So they want somebody that knows the area to help drive their truck and catch them when they land.
Now, the type of volunteers that we're seeking, what type of jobs are we talking about specifically when it comes to the Old West Balloon Fest itself?
Well, we have all sorts of things that volunteers can do. They can do crewing, which is a big thing, helping the balloons with the liftoff and the landing. We have scoring teams. People just say they're a lot of fun. They come back once they've volunteered year after year. So, and they can be anyone of any age. We have different types of volunteering, so it's not all strenuous stuff. We just ask 18 and up we do like to have kids there too, but the parent has to be with them.
Okay. And so if somebody wants to volunteer, whether it's for the Balloon Fest or the championships itself, how do they do so?
Go to our website, theoldwestballoonfest.com, and there's a volunteer tab there. You just click on that and fill out the application.
Okay, and it's very simple to do.
It's very easy.
And of course, you also need volunteers to help with parking, I would assume, as well as perhaps maybe giving a hand with some vendor setup, things such as that as well, I would think.
Yeah, we do. We have some things to definitely help set up on that Friday.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the Thursday the 15th, some setup there. But really, mainly the safety people. We need safety people, scoring people for sure, people that can do it during the week, and it's just in the mornings, so it would be from maybe 6 to 10 a.m.
Sure.
And it's really fun because you get to see those balloons coming in towards you at the X and throwing their baggies, and then you measure the distance from the center of the X to where their baggie landed. So it's really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a very good time, and like Colleen and Sherri were saying, it gives you an opportunity to get maybe a different view of the balloons than what you would see out on the countryside, out on the roads. Watching them take off, boy, you get to see them coming in toward a landing, and that's kind of a neat thing. There's a whole lot more with the Old West Balloon Fest and the National Ballooning Championships that'll be coming up later this year, and we'll talk about that when we come back on News Extra. Hello everyone, and welcome back to News Extra, and today my guest, Colleen Johnson, the Executive Director of the Old West Balloon Fest, as well as Sherri Cargile, who is the Volunteer Coordinator. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Of course, we're talking about the Old West Balloon Fest and the National Ballooning Championships that are coming up a little bit later this year in August. Timing-wise, there is so much that gets jammed into the summer around here. Getting the timing just right for the ballooning championships on top of the Old West Balloon Fest, it had to be kind of difficult to kind of get those coordinated, I would think.
Well, when we were awarded the bid for nationals, they actually picked the date based on weather. So some of the stipulations that we said, it couldn't be, of course, not on Oregon Trail Days weekend or Scottsbluff County Fair, that it had to have some separation from those, so we gave them some options. But they really did their research and based the very best weather week they could possibly get. Hopefully, I know this year's been so awful, but hopefully that week, it'll be great weather and everybody will have a super time.
Yeah, and we'll talk with Bill and Don Day as far as getting good weather. They may or may not have any control of those things. Now, when it comes to finding landing sites, I know that there's been some discussions with at least the city of Scottsbluff.
Right.
As far as, some landowner relations, because these balloons will come down, what goes up does have to come down.
Right.
And it can be in various locations, throughout the area.
So what part of my job this year was to send out letters to landowners and ask permission for takeoff, landing, and place to put the target. And of course, City of Gearing, City of Scottsbluff, City of Mitchell, they've all been very generous about allowing balloons to launch and land on the properties. And I want landowners to know too that balloonists are not going to land on planted crops.
Yeah.
They're not going to do any damage. They definitely know our community has struggled this year with planting, so they're going to be very cognizant and aware of that.
No, I'm sure of that. And of course, as we were talking earlier, volunteering is a big part of this. We need 150 or more volunteers.
More, yeah, we'd love to have anybody, that wants to have a fun time volunteering.
And there's actually an incentive that's going to be available if you do happen to volunteer.
Yeah.
There's actually a little bit of incentive to go along with this. Explain that.
Well, you do get a volunteer T-shirt. You get a free parking pass. So, of course, that covers the whole week of events for anyone. And we are having a volunteer orientation welcome barbecue the night of August 11th.
That'll be
for all the volunteers. Yeah, they can get to meet the Nationals pilots there. If they know who they might be crewing with at that time, they can meet up
and what kind of, do we have a deadline for needing? Obviously, if somebody wants to volunteer, if we hit 100, if we fill up, that's one thing. But is there a deadline for people to?
There's not a set deadline as of yet. I mean, we'll take anybody, even up to the day before. It's just a matter of getting the T-shirts ordered. Okay. So, in time, so we know that we have enough T-shirts for all our volunteers.
Okay, so definitely by 10 days, 2 weeks ahead of time, you definitely, if you can and want to volunteer to take part in any aspect of the Old West Balloon Fest and the National Ballooning Championships, about 2 weeks ahead of time, it would be about the time you'd want to, latest that you'd want to get into this.
Right. I would say by the end of July. We need to know if
pretty
they're
much
volunteer.
know.
So, again, Sherri said you could still volunteer, but you may not get a T-shirt.
Exactly. So. And hey, the T-shirt's a big part.
It is. They're cool.
They are. They're very cool.
And again, how do people get to volunteer?
Go to the website, theoldwestballoonfest.com, and click on the volunteer tab and fill out the application.
An opportunity for you to get involved in the Old West Balloon Fest and or the National Ballooning Championships coming up in August. Colleen, Sherri, thank you very much for joining us on News Extra today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.